All right, sorry, no music today. I looked for the bossa nova, but I couldn't find it. If you missed it yesterday, when we started Dan's up at home update just for fun, I thought, gosh, this needs a little elevator music as we count down from 60 seconds and then we get the update started. But sorry, no music available today. And you know what the real reason there's no music available today? Because I'm listening to it rain at my house. It sounds pretty good. Coming down, I'm looking, peeking out the window. That I kind of have to get down to be able to see it, but there is some rain falling out there. So that might make you wonder, so is that happening anywhere near me? Could be, but as you can see, it's scattered about. Always the reminder at kfdm.com, we do have an interactive radar. I can take it all the way out so that I can see this huge mass of rain that's been percolating up here all morning long, beginning probably at 4 a.m. or so. And it has been an all-day deluge to Waco and other parts that area. And like I say, I can take this all the way out if I want to and see the entire country. There's that, remember the tropical issue that we had that was skirting up the East Coast? There it is. And then here we are back in Texas. Again, I can take it all the way out as far as I want, or I can bring it all the way back down, which is what I'm going to do here so that you can see that right across Beaumont, we've had a pretty good line move north. And it's interesting because what's up north is not really sagging too much, but it's sucking a lot of moisture up from the Gulf. And all of a sudden, we're seeing some showers firing off. If you were with us this morning on the morning show on KFDM or Fox 4, you know that Dana is saying probably by midday, that's the end of it, that we probably won't see a whole lot more when it comes to showers. And again, the reminder, this is always available 24/7 at kfdm.com. Again, glad you're up with us this morning. I'm Dan Gresham. This is my house. Glad to be in your house with a very casual look at what's happening in our headlines, not only here in Southeast Texas, but across the Lone Star State as well. And if you're unfamiliar, I am the morning show anchor at KFDM TV and KBTV Fox 4 and have been. And I always like to include the fact that I live here. This is not a transition for me. This is not a 2-year job. I've been here for decades. So I feel like that we have created a community here on Facebook Live. We're also streaming this to the YouTube page as well, which is Dan's at Home on YouTube. So you can check it out there as well. Don't forget this morning, if you want to jump in, tell us you're with us, you're watching, you're part of the show this morning, as you always are. You can always just post a comment wherever you are, and we'll take a look at those. Again, you can do it on Facebook. You can do it on YouTube, either one. I see them all, and I can say hi to people like Calvin. Good morning, Calvin. Willie, glad you're up with us this morning. Hi, Marie. Good to have you with us. Karen, good to see you too. Also, Nicole Stevenson is up this morning. Of course, Chase On is with us, a daily watcher, along with Marty Frazier. Hi, Marty. Good to have you with us this morning. And Sandy in Little Cypress. And we'll check in with some other folks throughout the morning. We just like to acknowledge your presence and appreciate it. And again, if you have a question or if you have a comment, it's a really good place to post it, because we can go and if you say, well, what about the face mask? Are there some that are better than others? I don't mind doing the research. I don't mind looking, posting some information for you, because there are a lot of great stories out there that speak to which mask, if you're going to wear one, is really going to do something that works for you. I always like to start these off too by looking at the most current numbers. And again, these are numbers that I've compiled that you have to kind of go a lot of different places to put them together. But this is, as best I can tell, where we're at. We now have more than 3,000 confirmed cases in an 8-county area. More than 2,300 of them are currently active, and about 163 new cases across the area from yesterday. 789 have recovered. As you can see, 100 people. And let me double check that number again, because I didn't write that down properly, because I know it's higher. It's 125 people are currently hospitalized in Jefferson County with COVID-19 related symptoms. 125, not 100. And we had another death. I believe a person, a 70-plus-year-old woman died, and not sure underlying conditions, but that has become the single most common element of deaths that we have seen in Southeast Texas. All of them have had, with the exception of one, underlying conditions. That does not make their death any less significant. It's just another defining factor in what happened to these people. So there you go. Those are the numbers as of today here in Southeast Texas, and they do continue to go up in another day of triple-digit numbers. Let's go back to KFDM.com. We check the radar. Always point you here because this is a great place to go to get the latest information and the most local news. Top story of the day, I think when you ask most people, would be the interview that we had on KFDM. Tiffany Murphy talking with Governor Abbott yesterday afternoon, actually 6 o'clock. So I guess you could call it yesterday evening. I'm going to encourage you to go in and watch this story because there are some interesting comments that the governor made. And again, to watch any story on KFDM.com, you simply just go kick the area. You'll see a commercial run. And again, you can adjust the volume there if you want to so that you can be able to hear what's going on. And again, it's the entire thing. If I were to tell you, I don't have a timestamp on where to go, but the governor made some pretty interesting comments that outlets across the state have picked up on and made a unique exclusive statement on KFDM TV. I don't think he said this anyplace else around the state because he did a number of these interviews, but essentially what he told Tiffany as he got deeper into this was that he felt like, he's hearing from these mayors and county judges who are saying, give us more power so that we can enact stay-at-home orders so that we can, and his rebuttal was, if you just take care of business with the orders that you already have, if you enforce what I've already put in place, that we wouldn't be having, you could take care of the problems.
Local officials will enforce the orders that exist because that is the best way to make sure we stop the spread of the coronavirus. And stopping the spread of the coronavirus is the best way to get our economy back going without shutting jobs down again.
All right, so I'm going to come back a little bit earlier. Here we go.
And to the working man and woman by trying to take your paycheck away from you. And I'm trying to not let that happen. I just want to make sure that the local officials will enforce the orders that exist because that is the best way to make sure we stop the spread of the coronavirus. And stopping the spread of the coronavirus is the best way to get our economy back going without shutting jobs down again.
So essentially, the governor kind of pointing it back at elected officials, and you might remember, I think this kind of falls to where Hardin County Judge Wayne McDaniel had said, I see this coming. I mean, he essentially a week ago said that he could see that the governor would be somehow this would come back to county officials. And sure enough, it has. It's going to be interesting to see what their comment and what the mayors have to say as they move forward and talk about, because it's not just one. I mean, you're talking about the mayor of Austin, Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, all asking the governor to give them more power to be able to put things in place that they believe would curb the surge. And the governor saying, you already have them, you just need to enforcement. And of course, we talked about this yesterday. Enforcement is not easy. The problem being that many of these county enforcement, whether it's, I think it was Montgomery County, the constable and the sheriff, they're saying, look, the problem is if we go out and try to enforce this, we face the possibility of civil action against us. And they don't want to be tied up in court, and they don't want to be put under the situation of the pressure of having to deal with that. So they're saying, we're not going to enforce a face mask. We're not going to go out and tell people that they have to. And the story, by the way, is still on KFDM.com if you want to go read it, about why these agencies say that they're really not interested in trying to enforce face masks. All right, another interesting story on KFDM.com that I think is very much worth your time is this one, where a doctor explains about patients recovering from COVID-19 and the recovery process. This is a Baptist hospital practicing physician who goes into depth talking about it's not just people dying in the hospital. That's obviously a big concern, but it's also the physical fallout that happens when somebody gets COVID-19, gets the virus bad enough that they require hospitalization. And it's pointing to the fact that it's not something that, yes, they may leave the hospital in a matter of days, but his point was it may take them weeks, if not months, to recover once they have been in the hospital. And again, well worth your time if you want to go and check into that story for sure. Also, the county judge, Jefferson County, this I think should be one of attention too. Jeff Brannick saying that he felt like there has been a rapid increase in COVID-19 cases in Jefferson County, and it does concern him. But he also said that at this point, as the county judge, he had issued a face mask mandate. He said, you know, mine is superseded by the governor. I'm going to follow whatever the governor says from this point as far as setting new mandates and new rules to be followed in Jefferson County, which again, you don't need, I guess the thought process would be you don't need to if you have the governor who is also mandating the face mask anytime you go out in public. Also, Jefferson County Sheriff expressing concern about the situation inside of her jail. She says the number of COVID-19 cases is rising. They've tested 159 inmates. 60 of those are positive, and they also have some pending. They have 96 that are negative. That's a pretty sizable amount of your jail population. 60 out of 160 that have tested positive. But it's not just inmates, it's also staff. She has 14 officers in the jail who have tested positive and 20 who are currently quarantined. So that cuts into your workforce, right? How many people can actually be on the job? Also on KFDM.com, among the other stories that we have posted today, we are also continuing to take a look at early voting that is happening in Southeast Texas. We are also, which again ends this week, the early voting for the election coming up on July 14th. Plus, of course, we also have some breaking news stories that are there as well, including one about a man who crashed his car into Parkdale Mall through the end, $30,000 in damage at Parkdale Mall, as this man crashes a car through the mall entrance, goes to a jewelry kiosk, takes jewelry, apparently stumbles out of the mall, falls down in front of the, I think it was Taco Bell parking lot, and police arrest him with all the jewelry on. So you can go and certainly read all of those stories again, available to you 24/7. That's the beauty of the KFDM website, is that you can go and you can have video on demand. You don't have to wait for a newscast. Certainly, we want you to join us for our newscast, all of them, whether it's the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and of course, 4.5 hours there in the morning that we can catch you up. But we also want you to know that it's always readily available right there at your fingertips. And it's not just about the home computer, as many of you know. It's also about, you know, your smart device. If you're carrying your phone, you have all this information right there at your fingertips, including interactive Doppler radar. Now, let's look at a couple of other stories that are going on this morning that might be of interest to you. And I don't know if you've seen this. It's a very interesting graph that has been produced. This graph from the Texas Medical Association. It simply says COVID-19, be informed, know your risk during the pandemic. And they lay out this whole, from top to bottom, the least risky thing you can do to the highest risk that you can do. And you can go in and you can, this is a tweet that was posted. So if you want to see it, you can go in and see it bigger. And you can see it starts with things like, believe it or not, opening the mail offers the least risk to you. That's what it says. It's a 1. On a scale of 1 to 10, that is one of the least risky things you can do. Getting restaurant takeout is not risky. Pumping gasoline is not considered risky. Playing tennis, going camping. And then it goes up to there. Having dinner at someone else's house. Sounds pretty risky according to the medical experts, the TMA. They rate it as a 5. Going to get a haircut is a 7. And then you get into the higher risk, eating at a buffet, working out at a gym, going to an amusement park, going to a movie theater, attending a concert, going to a sports stadium, attending a religious service with 500 plus worshipers is a 9. Ranks right up there. It's interesting that going to church on this risk factor is on the same level as going to a bar. Again, you can go and find this. All you have to do, of course, is Google TMA risk graph, and you will find it. This particular story that I'm looking at right now, Houston Chronicle, which is chron.com, and you can go and read that story as well. Surprising things that you may not have seen. This is from New Atlas, but you can find it a lot of different places this morning. Scientists presenting a case for airborne spread of COVID-19. This might make you think twice about some of the practices and some of the things that you were doing. And you can go in, I'm not going to read the entire thing for you, but we all know is not part of the problem for many people, conflicting information, where there is not one cohesive message, that there are all these different signals that are being sent. And you're left to try to ferret out what you think is the truth or what is really most important for you. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, it's almost like you feel like, okay, I need to have a doctorate or something just to understand what some of these, people are saying. For example, here you go. A technical distinction is typically made between transmission by respiratory droplets expelled through coughing or sneezing, relatively heavy, thus reaching relatively short distance, and assumed by the WHO and other official bodies to be the main transmission mechanism for SARS-CoV-2 upon contact with them, and airborne transmission, which involves smaller particles suspended in the air, aerosols. An infectious disease expert from the University of Edinburgh explains. Not exactly layman's terms, but again, it's up to you to try to figure these things out. Here's what a lot of folks have figured out. According to a poll, this is the Texas Tribune, texastribune.org. A poll says Texans hope for quick return to pre-coronavirus life is fading. We are less optimistic about this being something that's going to go away quickly. And as we have become one of the hot spots in the country, wouldn't that be easy to understand? This is a poll from Texas Politics Project at the University of Texas. Most Texas registered voters, 57% characterize the coronavirus as a significant crisis, while another 29% call it a serious problem, but not a crisis. And that's a shift away from what people were saying in April. And you can go and find out, and you can see the complete breakdown. And again, I'm just pointing you in the direction. I'm leading you to this information so that you can consume it for yourself. The mission always being, again, not to force feed you, but to offer you places that you can go, that you can try to comprehend as much as you possibly can so that you're well armed to make the decisions of the day, right? We've talked about the idea of coexistence, and it's been talked about in many circles, especially in medical circles, that at this point, we're so deep into the COVID-19 crisis and pandemic, it's not going anywhere. So the real issue, according to most of the experts, is figuring out how can you coexist with this virus in the population and still be able to carry on your daily life. And at this point, we're being encouraged. In fact, we're being told, you can call it ordered if you want to wear a face mask or a face covering from nose to chin. Doesn't mean pull it down. Doesn't mean put it under. I still can't figure the ones, people who are wearing face masks and it's under their chin. I'm like, okay, I guess you're satisfying the fact that you have it. But other than that, you're not really doing much to protect yourself or to protect others, which in some case, majority of the time, isn't that what we're trying to do. But again, we have to coexist and we have to find safe ways to be able to do that. And that is the problem at this point. All right. So there you go. I think we've really kind of hit on all the headlines this morning. Let's come back and check on some of the other folks who have dropped by this morning to say hello. And let's see where we can start this morning, folks that we haven't seen already. Sandra Mello, good morning to you. Hi, Debbie. Hope you're doing well. Mark Harvey, good morning. How can I find out where my stimulus check is? The first one. Mary, there are a couple of pretty good sources out there. I'm not going to speak off the top of my head because I don't remember the exact websites, but I would suggest to you, if you haven't already, that you just do a very simple thing, and that is Google lost or unreceived stimulus check. And there are places that you are supposed to be able to go to find that out. All right. And if you don't come up with one, email me, let me know, and I'll go look for you myself. And I'm sorry that, trying to do all these things at one time is a little bit difficult for me to pull it up at the moment. Calvin says, don't forget my shout out. Wouldn't do that, Calvin, not to you. Rachel, good morning. Yes, Jason, it is raining. You're right. Also, good morning to you, Jamie. Hi over in Bridge City. Marie Prince is with us this morning as well. And I'm looking to check on some of the other folks that are here. Hi, Tammy, Calvin, you got it right. Alfie Poole, good morning. Also in Hemp Hill this morning, Jeanette Brown is with us. Hi, Mary. Hope I can find an answer. I hope you can find the answer too. I know it's like looking for that stimulus check. Hi, Carlene. Glad to have you with us this morning. Hi, Peggy. She says she could use some rain and needling, I think. Yep, I hear you. Hi, Les. Hope all is well with you. Joel, you know what's up with me. I'm working. I hope you're working as well this morning. Lisa, glad you had a chance to drop by this morning. Hi, Ben. Hi, he had the Colosseum in Rome on his profile picture. You know what? Doing this and bringing up all these Facebook comments, it will make you realize, oh, I haven't checked my profile picture in a while. Maybe I need to update it, or hey, I like that picture. Hi, Vivian. Morning, Darlene. And there's Carrie O'Shea of Port Neches, along with Stacy. It is National Macaroni Day. It truly is. And again, I want to encourage you that, you can also go talk to each other if you want to during the course of the morning. If you see a comment and you want to respond to it, sometimes you can do that. And, you can just reach out and say, I saw what you said and just wanted to give you a heads up. Maybe you can offer them some information as well. Darlene Thomas says, be safe, stay home. And, we've talked about risk tolerance, Darlene. It's no different than financial risk tolerance. If you're one of those people that you have all your money hidden in the pillow, of your bed or under your bed, and that's where you feel comfortable with it, that's how you feel secure. Or maybe you'd all have it in the bank, or maybe you're a person that you've got invested in the stock market and you're saying, whoo, look at it go. It's really, I'm making some money off of this. If that's where your comfort level is, then that's where you go. And it's the same thing, isn't it? When we talk about risk tolerance when it comes to COVID-19, if you're not comfortable getting out of the house, then you probably shouldn't. And if you're one of those people that you're saying, I'm not wearing a mask, it's against, then again, you're going out and you're doing those things, but you also have to remember that there is an order in place. So you're taking a chance, you could be fine. But that's, again, comes back to your risk tolerance. You're willing to take the chance. I have to stay home, get lonely. I'm at high risk. Nina, I didn't read that very well, but I do feel your emotion. I really do. And I think that the important thing to remember is you're not alone in this. There are a lot of people that are out there that are in the same situation that you are. That you're sitting at home, you're nervous, you're scared, you're frightened, you don't want to leave home. I promise you, if you would reach out to some of these people on Facebook, they will at least offer you a conversation. And I would not be surprised, out of just our little update here this morning, that somebody doesn't reach out to you and offer to have conversation, if not just exchanging items and text and time here on Facebook, that it might not even be more than that. We certainly want to encourage people. If you have people in your life that you know that are in the situation that Nina is in, and Nina, I appreciate your speaking out, because this is our mental well-being is something that we need to be concerned about. Physical well-being is one thing. And obviously we're pointing and talking a lot about that, but your mental well-being. Saw a great article yesterday, and if I can find it later today, I'll bring it with me back tomorrow morning. But it was talking about things that you should do if you want to stay positive while this is going on. Nina, if you can, they say one of the best things that you can do is be in service to somebody else. Volunteer somewhere. Take some time. You know, and there are people that you can volunteer, and you can volunteer virtually. You can volunteer on the phone. You don't necessarily have to go there, you know, to be able to volunteer. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. And again, if you're on this community, in this community with us, wherever you live, reach out to people that you know that may be in Nina's suggestion. And Nina, you hang in there. You're welcome. I hope you'll join us every day. I feel like we're having conversation. Lillian Brown, so do you think we should all get tested? Lillian, the reality is we don't have the ability to test everybody in this country. Now we've tested what? 40 million people, I think is what they're saying, which is pretty impressive. But you have to remember we're more than 300 million. And we don't have logistically, the suggestion is we couldn't if we wanted to, but we could sure test more. How many other people have not, Mary, I assure you there are a number of people out there that still haven't gotten their checks, for sure. Here it is. She's got the government link for you. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I love about Facebook is the ability, again, to create this community where we can help each other. Hi, Susan. Good morning to you. See, there's another one out there this morning reaching out to somebody. Thank you, Dan, for helping Nina and others in her situation. I'm kind of in that spot too. Here again, here's another. Jamie Preston. Nina, I'm in the same book. Why don't you guys take a minute? I'm telling you, how easy would this be? That you take a minute and you just exchange. You don't have to give each other telephone numbers. You just have to say, hey, we're going to IM each other. I'll instant message you. And then you can sit and talk about commonalities, sit and talk about the things that you have in common, things that, you're concerned about, worries that you might have. It's just that idea of being able to talk to somebody else. How easy is it? For those of us who are physically well, mentally well, that somebody, I would assume, I would certainly hope that different organizations in the community are at least making the effort. I think we're so deep into this that sometimes we forget. Sometimes we're so involved with our own lives, and I'm as guilty as anyone, that we forget that we really do, as community members, we have an obligation to others. And that obligation is not necessarily monetary. It goes beyond that. That we have an obligation that if we can help, if we can be in service, isn't that what we should be? So maybe it's that phone call. Maybe it's calling that person that the next door neighbor, the aunt, the uncle, that doesn't have anybody else to talk about, and simply investing some time. Hey, how's it going? How are you doing? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Can I do something for you? Can I come and take care of you? All right, it's an easy, simple thing to do. So again, reach out. I've tried every day recently to end on something positive, and I'm not sure that this is necessarily positive, but I hope it's thought-provoking. I recently, as in yesterday, was in a situation where I was driving somewhere, and it's a intersection where it kind of has a blocked blind side to it. And I stopped at the stoplight. It's a four-way intersection, busy intersection in Beaumont. Everybody would know it if I said it. People are going both directions. I stop. The light turns green. And I hesitate I was in an accident where I was T-boned by somebody running a red light. So that kind of gives you caution. So it makes me stop, right, for a second. So I hesitated. And just as I'm pulling out, soon, here comes somebody, and I'm not talking about creeping through a red light. I'm talking about blowing through a red light. It makes you start to observe people's driving habits. And it also starts to make you ask things like, what should we be doing today that would make people better prepared to be drivers? Just good driving habits. So I thought, I'm curious. How many states actually require new drivers to have some kind of driver's education? For the state of Texas, you can teach your kids. And I wonder how many parents just sign off on the actual driver's ed part of it. You're required to give your kids X number of hours of instruction in the car, blah, blah, before you go and take the test. And how many people really do it? 32-hour driver education course, 6-hour adult driver's ed course. How many parents just sign off on it and say, we're done? And if that's the case, wouldn't we be asking the question, who's teaching us to drive? Now, many of us went through driver's education where when you were in school, you were required to go and take driver's ed. So I'll leave you with my question of the day for you to think about this morning. And it's really a pretty simple question. And that's not it. I forgot to save it. My bad. But my question was, do you think people in general are better or worse drivers today than when you started driving? And the second half of that question is, should we be requiring driver's education from someone other than a family member? Coach did a pretty good job, I think, teaching us back in summer school. At least that we knew that when you went into a four-way and you were going to turn, that doesn't mean you cut off 3 lanes in your turn, right? That you went and then you actually turned. Yeah, we could go on driving for a long time. But again, just something to think about, maybe a distraction from the COVID-19 conversation, which we will have again tomorrow. We will go in depth and we'll continue to keep you updated. All right. Again, the quick reminder, you can always go to kftm.com, find out what's happening with the latest headlines. We often have breaking news there. And of course, also here on our KFDM Facebook page. Don't forget our newscast. We have one at noon today. We'll also have another newscast at 5, 5:30, 6, 9, and 10 o'clock. Plus 4.5 hours. If you miss it tonight, catch it bright and early tomorrow morning with us on the morning show. We begin at 4:30 a.m. and we will be there dark and early to take you through what's going on during your day. And again, one more reminder, if you have the time today, reach out to somebody and just touch base, see how they're doing, what's going on. If you can help them in any way, just let them know. And also the reminder too, that I thank you for joining us today. Want to remind you, do me a favor, if you could, just drop us a like. If you do enjoy the update from home, we will continue doing them. You can also catch up with us as you see. If you want to shoot me a tweet or follow me on Twitter, you can, Morning TV Dan. And again, we're also on YouTube at Dan's at Home. All of those ways that we can stay in touch. And I will amend this page too in the near future so that we can put up our email address so that if you don't want to address us over the air, that you also have the ability to reach out to us in a private manner, right? So again, go out and make it a terrific day. Know that I appreciate you and look forward to talking to you again bright and early tomorrow morning. Until then, be safe.